In the United States, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Republican candidate for President Donald Trump on Friday, calling the relations good between the two. Israel's leader is wrapping up a week in the U.S., during which he pushed for continued support from Washington. DD India's Caroline Malone gets us more.
Well, Donald Trump pledged to work towards peace in the Middle East and to combat anti-Semitism. That on Friday, after meeting with the Israeli leader, Benjamin Netanyahu. And Netanyahu has been in talks with many different groups over this week. He met earlier in the week with President Joe Biden and then Vice President Kamala Harris, who of course is the likely candidate for the Democratic Party moving forward. You know, overall, it's a chance for Israel to continue to push to get support from the United States for its campaign, in particular against Hamas. In Netanyahu's wording to Congress on Wednesday, he was framing it as the US being the closest allies to Israel, needing Israel as an ally in the Middle East, and also the US and Israel having the same enemies. And so therefore any benefit, any win for Israel is also a win for the United States. But we also heard slightly different messaging from Harris and also from Trump in earlier interviews, Trump in particular saying he's keen to see an end to the war. He's keen to see the end of the fighting between Israel and Hamas. And Harris was saying much the same and going even further and saying she has very large concerns about the impact on the civilian population in Gaza. That's something that's been criticised by Trump and even some suggestion that it might impact any ceasefire talks. But ultimately, there does seem to be some agreement amongst most US leaders and potential future leaders here, which is that there needs to be a ceasefire, there needs to be a release of hostages, and that needs to happen sooner rather than later. Now, President Biden, of course, met with Netanyahu a few days ago. Now that he's not standing to be president again, analysts are saying it's an opportunity for him to have more capacity during his remaining time, 6 months in office, to focus on big foreign policy and domestic issues that include the Israel-Hamas war, with the US keen to continue to pursue peace talks and try to get ultimately to a ceasefire. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.